So you've been growing avocados your whole life pretty much, right?
My whole life. We used to have 1,800 trees out here. These are choquette trees here.
So what's your overall favorite avocado that you've tasted of all of them?
I had about 60 trees out there that in 48 hours they were dead.
How much space would you recommend people give to an avocado tree, or does it depend on how much space they have?
It needs 10 meters.
What's that in feet wise?
30 feet.
30 feet?
Yeah. We probably have more Bernicas than we do anything else. There's a picture of my dad standing here in 1917 holding a bicycle behind this tree.
So how old is this tree?
Well, it's probably a good 100 and probably 20 years old. This is a couple of the original tonnage trees.
Oh, wow. So how old are those?
1961.
Hello everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees. We are at this amazing farm today, Erickson Farm. I've been here before. I'm going to put a link below to my other episodes, but this is Dale, the owner of the farm, and he's going to show us around his avocados trees today and talk about avocados. And you've been growing avocados your whole life, right?
Yep, my whole life. So.
And he's in his 70s and he's been growing them his whole life, so there's a lot of knowledge and information. We're going to cover that here today.
Paul's probably forgotten more than I know. So.
How big is the farm?
We have 54 acres, I think, right now. So.
Amazing. And they sell avocados during the season, and mangoes during the season, lychees during the season, and sapodillas. The links below, check them out. But we are going to have a great time today discussing avocados, right?
Right.
All right, here we go, everybody. So, Dale, how have you been? How's the farm going?
So we had a very quick season, and it was shortened because of Hurricane Milton. And it didn't knock all the fruit off, but it twisted them to the point where they fell off within 2 weeks. So all of our late season fruit we lost. We had a very good early season. Our Donnies, our Russell, Simmons, they had a good heavy crop early. And
okay,
the public loves them.
So I wanted to talk to you about that. What avocado trees you have early, mid, and late season? So you said for early season you have Donnie.
We have Donnie and Simmons and Russell. And
Donnie, Simmons, and now Russell. I thought Russell was a later season or a mid season. No?
It comes in mid-July, 1st August.
Okay. So when does Donnie start out here? Because
Donnie actually in other places comes off in June, but here they come off in July.
In July.
In July. We're a lot colder here with the lake breezes. Keeps us cool in the spring.
And what about Simmons? When does that come in?
I would say that's mid to late July.
Mid to late July. Okay, so it's Donnie first, then Simmons, then Russell.
Then Russell.
So that's your early season. Of those three, what's your favorite variety?
Donnie, it's the first one. You've been waiting and waiting and waiting. So when my grandson is the Russell, most of my other friends, it's the Simmons.
Now, when you say a Donnie, is that from a commercial standpoint for selling, or is that, like, I'm talking about taste-wise and production-wise, would you still say Donnie?
Taste-wise and production-wise. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So, with the Donnie, with all avocados, if you get them early, do you find they're not as good and tasty as if you wait and let them hang in a tree a little longer?
Well, we always let ours hang until we know for sure they're ready. So we, when they look like they're ready, when that shine shows up on them, I pick one and take it home. And if it wrinkles at all in the ripening, then I'll wait another 2 weeks and try it again. So,
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you take it off and it wrinkles, then you picked it too early. All right.
I don't always go by the picking schedule because our weather's so different here.
Yes, and everybody, we're about an hour west of West Palm Beach.
We're actually due west of Jupiter.
Jupiter, an hour west of Jupiter. Okay, so Donnie, you would pick over Russell's or Simmons if you had the choice, personally.
That's personally, yes.
Yes, wow.
The Simmons is a better growing tree.
So Simmons is a better growing tree.
Right.
And what about between Russell and Donnie, what's a better growing tree?
The Russell. The Donnie's the hardest to grow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you get an extended dry period where you don't get out there and water it quick enough, you'll start to have dieback.
Okay.
So we have to keep them watered. So.
All right. So at some point in this video, we'll go and we'll take a look at those trees. So that's your early season. Now, do you have a mid and late season?
We used to have 1,800 trees out here. They were tonnage variety and choquette for pollination.
Okay.
My dad planted them in 1961. And at that time, that was right to the Cuban embargo. So they didn't have any of the later varieties. And the tonnage gets ready in August. And it was October, November for the choquette. So that left the market open for Europe. So we grew avocados here, not mangoes, avocados.
Okay.
Until 1978. And in 1978, the Army Corps of Engineers decided they wanted to see how much water the lake would hold, and they let it rise to 18.7 feet. We're standing at about 13, so the water was about this high.
Wow.
And of course, that was before they put a wall down through the dike, and the grove flooded. All the trees got Phytophthora, and there's a few of the original trees left. 1, 2, probably 6 of the original trees left, but we lost all the rest of them to Phytophthora.
Wow. So you had tonnage and choquette.
Yes.
Okay. And those did fine before the flood?
They did great. Yeah, they were fantastic.
Of those two, which one do you prefer?
They're both great. The tonnage is a little more nutty than the choquette, but the choquette being late, and it has such a long shelf life. The tonnage is such a heavy producer, and it produces every year. As far as eating quality, the tonnage is nuttier, so you make more guac out of that.
Okay.
Where the choquette's this great big thing, and you put big slabs on a sandwich, or big chunks in a salad. So.
And what is the tonnage and choquette? Are they type A or type B?
Yes.
Both of them are type A?
No, one's A and one's B, but...
Okay. Yeah. Do you remember the Simmons, Zidani, and Russell, if those are A or B, or which ones those were?
I have a list that I have to go by. After a while, we found out that it didn't seem to make a difference for us here. We have a lot of, and after we went into mangoes, we had a pollination problem with one of the varieties of mangoes. So we looked at different pollinators to see how we could increase pollinators. And your best pollinators are houseflies or solitary bees. And we have a lot of solitary bees here. And we kind of try to keep them going. I don't know if they're the blue mason bee or the green or whatever, but they, over in this area we're going here about a month ago, there was little sand holes where they had been.
Wow.
But
houseflies are good pollinators.
Houseflies are your best pollinator for fruit trees. Yeah.
Wow. So would that mean it's good to put like cow manure somewhere near the tree to attract the flies, or?
Well, the first thing we tried here was, we have a fish house down here. They commercially go out and catch catfish. So you have all the skin and the entrails and all that of the fish. So we tried putting fish between every other tree out here. And we got lots of flies. And on the 4th or 5th day, the sky turned black with buzzards. And we had hundreds of buzzards come in, and they just literally cleaned all the fish up. So we saw that wasn't going to work. So the next year, we got organic chicken manure, which everybody gave us the finger as we was bringing it in by truck. We put a shovel full between every tree. And within 3 or 4 days, we had lots of flies. It was really great. And then by the end of the week, there were no flies.
Wow.
So I took a sprinkler can of water out, and I was freshening up our shovel full. And I got tired, and I sat down, and a fly came buzzing around me. Get away. And he went over, and he landed, and about 10 chameleons came out and zapped him off. So we thought, well, we can't use that anymore. So what do we do? So we decided to go with the solitary bee, and we actually took untreated wood and drill holes in it to give them homes. But over the last few years, we haven't had much problem with pollination. So.
Did you ever do the cow manure at all, or no? Because manure is known to attract flies, right?
Yeah, they put so much stuff in the cattle feed that'll actually, in most cases, your fly pupa or whatever, when it's down in there in that age, it'll kill them.
Okay.
And you don't get any result from it.
So that's early season and your mid-season. What avocados do you have here for late season?
Pardon?
What avocados do you have here for late season?
We have Monroe and Choquette.
Monroe and
I have
Choquette.
a couple Ulala. Don't know much about them. They grow good here.
Do they?
Yeah.
Those are what are they? Subahas, I think they're called.
Yeah, I think so.
So they grow well out here.
It was a Haas seed that was planted at the University of Louisiana, Lafayette. That's why the Ulala. So,
okay, that's good.
So, yeah,
that's
University of Louisiana, Lafayette.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's good. I didn't know that. But they grow here, they even ripenly, those?
They do excellent here. I think there's a few left on a couple of the
Is that a later season?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're coming off just now. So
that and Monroe are your latest ones, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if we could take a look at these trees, and then we'll go to your Grover and check it out. So you've been growing avocados your whole life, pretty much, right?
My whole life. That's what I came back to grow, not mangoes.
Okay.
I came back to grow avocados, but things didn't work out that way, so let's see. These are Choquette trees here.
Okay.
I think Hurricane Milton worked them over pretty good. Yeah.
How bad did the winds get out here?
We had 60, 65 mile an hour winds with higher gusts. It didn't break up the trees too much. There's an old Herman tree we have back here that's older than I am. It broke it up pretty bad.
Oh, really?
So
do you have a multi-graft avocados or not?
Pardon?
Do you have a multi-graft avocados, put other varieties on one tree, or you don't really do that?
One in back of the house where my dad lived. We had, it was an old seedling, and he put Dupuis in because that was my mom's favorite, Dupuis #2. And then we had a Choquette for later in the season because Dupuis is very early. It's last of May, 1st of June. And then we had a friend in Belglade, and his wife went down to Coral Gables, and somebody gave her a red avocado that she really liked it. She planted the seed, heavy producer, big thick meat. It was a little later in the year. We consider it a little too watery here, but we've got some budwood in there. We call it the Belglade. It's purple. It dark after you harvest it, it ripens to a very dark red. And the unique thing about it is when you cut it, you can put saran wrap on it and put it in the refrigerator and forget it for a week, 10 days. And when you come back, it'll be just like when you put it in there.
And
we think it's a little too watery, so we...
that was a seedling that you got?
It was a seedling, yeah, that a friend gave us.
So what's your overall favorite avocado that you've tasted of all of them?
Well, Dupuis is probably the best.
Dupuis,
yeah.
Okay.
Dupuis is very special.
And from your experience, that comes in before Donnie?
Yes, it's earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
And I forgot another early one that we have a lot of and a lot of requests for, and that's the Bernica.
Bernica.
Yeah. We probably have more Bernicas than we do anything else because they're a consistent, heavy bearer, good taste. Even if the squirrels get up there and chew a little bit or whatever, they don't care. They'll go ahead and buy.
What's the time out here for Bernica?
Late July, early August.
So Donnie comes before Bernica, and then you have
Donnie, Simmons, Bernica, Russell, kind of the same time.
Okay.
And we also have one tree of a red Russell, which is like 2/3 the size of a Russell, but it's red. So I think Billy Hopkins gave me that from Hopkins Nursery.
Now, Russell in general is the long neck one,
That's
right?
a long neck, yeah. And
Okay.
the Hispanics really go for that.
So, and then there's a lot of avocados out there. I mean, have you ever tasted one that's well known and said, I wish we had this tree, or not that you can remember?
If I did, I'd have it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well,
I thought I really liked the Brogdon, and I was going to tell you, I've got a Brogdon tree here. But after it got up and got in production, it wasn't what I remembered from as a kid. So our tree when I was younger was back farther on the muck, and seems to me like it was the earliest we have, and now this one comes off in the middle of the season, which is the season it's supposed to be. So I guess my memory is not as good as I thought it was.
Sure. Well, your whole life you've been planting avocados. If somebody buys a house, they want avocados throughout most of the year, or as long as they can. From your experience, they can only get one for each season, or just cover their 3 trees or whatever, maybe 4. What would you recommend somebody get? I know taste is taste is personalized, but
Early would be Bernica Simmons, either one, and late would be Monroe or Choquette. And you could have them grafted on the same tree or whatever, because they do have similar growth pattern habits. So
those are the ones you would go with.
It would give you early, late. So
have you tried the pumpkin, Marcus
pumpkin? We have a few Marcus pumpkin trees, and people really do love them. Taste-wise, they'll fight over them. The problem from a commercial standpoint is they're too large to put into a regular shipping box. You'd have to have some specially made styrofoam, something to keep them from getting damaged in shipping. But we have
You have it.
7 or 8 trees, I guess.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we have and they put on a heavy crop every year.
So what avocado goes the latest? Like I know
the Monroe.
The Monroe.
Monroe is the latest. Now we used to have one when I was a kid. It was called Zill. It might have been Zillate. No, we had a Brookslate, but we also had a Zill, and it was very late. It was January, February, and I'd love to get my hands on one of those again. Either one of them, just to have it.
Well, Brookslate is quite common.
Right.
They have them, but the Zill one, I don't know if one of they have them. But
in one of my going to clean up moods, I went out there and I cut both of them down. My mom had a fit, so she said that was my January, February avocado.
Well, there are a lot of avocados now that are January, February. I don't know if you know about them.
I know Pal Brooks had told me about one that he had a couple years ago, and I just never been back to home.
Julie and Laura at Laura Farms has one called the Ronnie.
Okay.
And that goes into January, February. I mean, sometimes Choquette will go into January and February.
Well, I'll have to talk to Julian about that.
Oh, no, the Ronnie one is really good. And then Alex has some at his place, at Tropical Acres Farms, and they go into January. As a matter of fact, that's when you would pick them in January. There's one called Campong.
Okay.
Campong's a very good one that goes into January. And Julian just found a new one that's super early, and he calls it At May because it's ripe in April and May. And it's delicious, delicious. He calls it the Donnie Killer. Yeah, it's delicious. And it's
anything before hurricane season is good because you get them off. And being here this close to the lake, we get the eye wall of almost every hurricane because the lake is shallow. Regardless of what they want to tell you, it's shallow. It's, there's places out there. It's at what historically was 18 feet. Their new way they say it's at 16 feet something. But there's probably places out, in most of the places, it's probably only 8 to 10 feet deep right now.
How much space would you recommend people give to an avocado tree, or does it depend on how much space they have?
It needs 10 meters.
What's that in feet wise?
30 feet.
30 feet?
Yeah. If you're going to put them in your yard and you're just going to let them grow where you don't have to trim them every year, I would say these two here are a good 30 feet.
So these are 30 feet.
That's a good, from here to the trunk is a good 15, 20 feet. So if you had another tree over here growing here, it's gonna give you a little room in between them.
So you keep them short though?
Yes. That's so the hurricanes don't blow them over. Okay,
how tall do you keep them? Or like to keep them?
We like to keep them at 15 to 16 feet. And back where the muck is on our mangoes, we're going down to about 12 feet.
How far do you keep the trees in a grove?
Well, we have to top and heads them every year. So
but how far did you plant them?
They're still 20 feet up.
20.
Now, when I have planted new ones, I plant them 30 feet, 30 by 30. And that allows you to trim every other year.
Okay.
You get, in South Africa, I understand that the trees are no more than 7.5, 8 feet high. But they stretch out long distances, and they put them 10 meters apart. Okay. The trees are never more than about 7 or 8 feet tall.
Now, on the avocados, do they grow at the tips only, or do they grow within closer to the tree? So like when you let them go short and wide, are you getting many more off that same branch, or is it if it was a skinnier tree?
Well, where you had one branch, if you trim it, you're going to end up with probably 5. And then we like to come back and trim that down to 3. Sometimes we don't get back in time. And then if you come back the next year and you go 6 inches higher with a mechanical topper, instead of those 3, you're going to have 9. Next year you go up 6 inches, instead of 9, you're going to have 27. So particularly on the sides, that's real important. So the tree kind of takes care of itself. You can see how many leaves there are in the middle. And all those will put on a fruit. All the terminal ends will put on a fruit. Mango trees, I've seen them hanging right out of the trunk.
Yeah.
Or where you've cut them, there'll be a whole bunch of mangoes, but I haven't noticed that on the avocados. Not saying that they don't do it, I just haven't noticed it.
So they don't get too close to the trunk. Yeah. So when you trim this back, do you recommend cutting out the middle for airflow? Or I know it's hard on a commercial property, but do you think it makes a difference?
If you can see through them like that, I wouldn't. If they were thicker than that, if they're another variety like that Haas, that's a Florida Haas over there, and you see how thick it is?
Yeah.
And I have trimmed the middle out of it.
Got you. Okay.
That's a Bernica, and the problem we have here is I need to cut it down 3 foot high. It's already too high in the air to do anything.
Got you.
But
now, if you do cut that lower, will it start growing out the bottom again?
It will, yeah.
Oh, it will. Okay.
Yeah, if you trim it at the right place where there were buds, you can tell in the bark, and you cut it above that, then they'll sprout right out.
Okay.
I can show you over on some Donnies that I had trimmed what's coming out of the top. It's unbelievable. So.
Okay. You have what's your opinion about Catalina?
Here's some more. Oh yeah, we do have Catalinas too. I forgot about them.
So what's your opinion about those?
Those are after we close the fruit stand in August, so it'll be 1st September. And we have probably 4 trees. They're very good producers, very good eating. And we have 3 or 4 people that order all we have. So we ship like a box every week to them. So all during the season. So I'm going to plant more early season because with our market here, we can sell them. The late season, I've been disappointed because it seems like we have a tropical storm or hurricane every other year. So it's just it's too discouraging.
The name's slipping my mind. This is a Catalina, okay. So this is a nice size. This is a beautiful size tree here. It's nice. Yeah.
This is our Herman.
There's one up there too.
There's some fruit up there. There's a picture of my dad standing here in 1917 holding a bicycle. behind this tree.
Wow.
So as you can see, it's hollow. You can reach through it.
What happened?
In many places, just over the years, lightning's hit it, and
how's this avocado?
it's very late, and Gary Zill came and took a lot of budwood off of it and took it down to Costa Rica because they don't get scab. And he said the avocados down there get scab real bad. They come off January, I guess, end of December. It's the only tree we have. And it always gets, any storm we have just really racks it up. I've got 3 little ones over in my nursery now to be able to plant somewhere else where it gets a little more protection.
So how old is this tree?
Well, it's probably a good 100 and probably 20 years old.
In the picture, it was a big size back then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And it just gets hollow over the years?
Yeah. It's like I said, it's been hit by lightning and lots of times. And then the hurricanes break it and you get the sunburn. I mean, you can see what it did over here. I mean, it was all the way over into that Comita there. That's a seedling because it never puts any fruit on.
Oh, really? Wow, what a shame.
Yeah. I think that one branch that comes out that looks a little funny there, it might have been the graft. But
what a shame.
here's one of the show cats. You can see it's got quite a bit of scab on it here.
Yeah, it's so big.
I quit spraying. As you can see what the squirrels love them.
Yeah.
Lula's a lot like the tonnage shape-wise, except it's later. And here it wants to go straight up.
That's not the ulala, it's different.
No,
right?
No, the Lula is.
Yeah, it's like a sweeter avocado.
Yeah,
that's one
it's
I got.
late. It's a very good eat, and a lot of people they swear by it.
Yeah.
Another variety that we have that I forgot about is the Black Prince.
Black Prince. My friend at Sleepy Lizard Farm has a grove with some of these.
It's a different avocado in that it's got a rough skin, but it's got an oblong shape to it. It's not watery, never watery.
Never watery, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's a heavy producer. We get 15 to 20 bushels off of this one tree every year.
Really? So it's
that's
a good
lot
producer.
of avocados, yeah.
Never watery, so you'd rate this good taste. And what's the season of it usually?
Most of them came off when I was 6, so I would say September.
Yeah, let's see some avocado grove. And thanks for your time. Everybody, I'm going to put the link below.
This is a couple of the original tonnage trees.
Oh, wow. So how old are those?
1961.
So these survived?
65 years.
These survived?
These survived. Yep. I loved avocados. So, I mean, we would load them up, hire somebody with a big truck, stick that pallet box on there, and send them to Homestead. They'd pack them. 6 weeks later, we'd get a check back. Wow. Mangoes, you got to spray them and spray them. You got to pick them and pick them and pick them. And the avocados, we picked them 3 times. The tonnage was like at a certain date was 16 ounces, and we pick everything that was 16 ounces. And then they would grow, they would size. By the next week, we came back and picked everything at 14 ounces, and that was almost everything in the tree. And then we come back 2 weeks later, and you could strip the trees. Wow. And you were done for the year. That was it. Top them maybe every 3rd or 4th year.
How many acres of avocado trees do you have?
Oh, I probably don't have an acre.
An acre left.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had 26 acres.
Wow.
At the time. This is the Ulala.
Okay. Small.
And once they turn that color on the tree, they're ready. You can pick them. But I'd pick that whole tree and I might get 1 box. And they're going, oh, that's not a Ford avocado.
When I used to get them, when I had a tree, they never ripened evenly.
You can pick these and they ripen good once they turn that color on the tree. Now that tree is 5 years old. I never trimmed it. Wow. I got another tree that I got from Billy Hopkins. I've already had to cut 10 feet out of the top of it.
Wow.
So it's like,
maybe I don't know. Spot or something. Yeah.
This is the tree that got laurel wilt. I cut the big stump back and it came back and it was tonnage, and we probably got a box of tonnage off of that tree.
Wow.
But I got that one when they were first coming out. It's a good 5 years old, I guess. I drug it out of the convention center in Orlando.
Wow.
This was one of our original choquettes. And you can see where it's been broken off and twisted. And
that's from the hurricane?
Yeah.
I recently got a day avocado. Have you tasted a day?
I've had the day. I did.
And what do you think of that?
It came off when we were getting Barnicas and the end of the Simmons and the Russells, and I put a chain on it and pulled it up and put something else in there.
Really?
So I wanted to see what it would do, and it produced good. I can tell my customers, you can buy a day, it's a good eating fruit and it's not going to freeze, if you're North Okeechobee or whatever.
What is a good cold hardy avocado you would recommend? People ask me.
Probably the Ulala right now is the
Ulala.
Yeah.
I know Brogdon's good cold hardy.
Yeah. But they grow them in Arkansas and in northern Texas.
Okay, do they?
That's
wow.
what I've been told.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And this is 3 original tonnage trees.
Wow. They survived.
There's a 4th one out there too, but I got.
Are all your avocado trees dispersed like this, or do you have an area where there's just like a whole row?
This is where I planted them down here where we're walking toward. Either on the ridge over here where we just came from, and then back at Kim's house there's about 20 trees, and then I got about 20 trees in here.
So what made your dad decide we're gonna come here and plant avocados?
Well, there was actually a man in Pahokee named Hugo Bowe, and he had about a 40-acre grow of tonnage and choquette, and a variety that he called the Bowe, which had to be some kind of choquette seedling because we couldn't tell the difference. And they became friends, and so he decided, well, we had 26 acres, and everybody else was changing to sugarcane. And 26 acres of sugarcane won't support the family. I was still, at that time, I was 11 years old. So he knew he had my college and my brother's college ahead of time. He needed something that he could. So he planted every other row 50 feet apart, and then he farmed green beans and sweet corn in between them until they got up into production size. But the main reason not going into sugarcane production was you have no control over when they harvest. And he is a Seventh-day Adventist, and he didn't want any work done on his farm on Saturday. So he decided he'd plant avocados. So he would totally control.
Well, that was a good move.
So
how often do you water your trees?
We actually don't.
Talk about the avocados.
In the springtime when they're blooming. We primarily use water for frost protection. That's why we have all the irrigation system is for frost protection. But this past spring was so dry, we had to bring the water table up. Everybody else was pulling it down, so we had to bring it up here to be able to I actually had mango trees wilting in the middle of the grove, so just drop boards in and start pumping.
So even the mangoes were suffering?
Even the mangoes were stressed, yeah.
Wow. So show us the avocado grove. my.
Okay, this is a Donnie.
Oh, here's a Donnie. Okay.
Now this was mechanically topped in the middle of August. You see how it sprouted out?
Yeah. Yep.
These three here are all Donnies.
Okay. And you like the taste? You love Donnie, huh?
Yep. The production, the taste.
How early can you pick these out here?
I can't give you exact date. It's sometime early July. I mean, whenever our season starts with the mangoes, we pretty much can put Donnies out. They're ready to go. So I had some nutritional problems with these, but had a long chat with Walter Zill, and he scratched his head and thought back, and he said, the only thing I can tell you, Dale, is about this lady that I know has got the prettiest avocado tree I've ever seen up in Jupiter. And she said the only thing she does to it is she puts Epsom salts on it twice a year. So that, well, it works for her, it'll work for me.
Around the tree?
So, yeah.
And you did it help?
So, well, yeah, because we were getting dieback on these things every year. They'd have a heavy crop and they'd start to die back. And
how much and how often?
I'm not saying that that's what did it.
Sure. How much and how often did you put down?
2 pounds.
How often? Once?
Twice a year.
Twice a year, yeah. Wow.
So
that around the same time or just 6 months apart?
Usually it's when we did it this year after we trimmed, and then we'll do it again once they set fruit. So I mean, Epsom salts, I mean manganese sulfate, I mean, I know with mangoes many years ago they had this mango tree decline, and it was Gary Zill that it kind of solved it, and he was using liquid manganese on the little potted mangoes, and so
yeah,
I listen to whatever they say, you know.
Whatever's working. Yeah.
I knew their dad. I was a little tight, but my dad and Lawrence used to have many a long chat, and then we had some retired professors, researchers, Webb Young. He did a lot of research here in the early days because he retired to Vero. He worked for United Banana Company and stuff in South America, and he also worked at the USDA, Cutler Ridge, Kings Bay, or whatever it's called. And he did a lot of research here. That was when we had avocados. But as a little tyke, I got to sit there and listen to him. So.
Wow.
This is the Red Russell.
Red Russell, okay.
So that gives you some idea of the shape of the tree. That's a Bernica. That's a Marcus pumpkin.
Oh, there's the Marcus pumpkin.
This is a Bernica. These are all show-cats right in here. There's like 4 show-cats. It's Bernica. I couldn't have him top and hedge it because it still had fruit on it.
Yeah.
That's 2 Monroes, and then I've got a couple.
Of all the avocados you know, what would you consider a dwarf avocado? Do you know any offhand?
Well, the Russell. Dwarf avocado. They say that Eulala is, but that's a Eulala up there, and I've already cut 10 foot out of the top of it. Now that tree over there has never been topped.
Wow. This one here?
No, that's a Mexicola.
Oh, so which one were you saying? Did you cut?
That one there.
Okay.
Now this is a Eulala that Walter Zill brought me over, and we planted it a year ago. So I think it was a 3-gallon. It may have been a 7-gallon. Can't remember, but it'll look like it'll have fruit next year. See, I had to whack out the top. But I mean, you could definitely put these in high density. Last year they were a lot bigger than they are this year. They were half again bigger than that.
Oh, they were bigger than that last year.
Yeah, they were bigger than that last year. But they had a heavy crop. They were all down on the ground here. I had to cut them up.
Wow. Now, so you picked them when they're that color?
Yeah.
Now, did you say you could plant them high density because this variety grows skinnier?
Yeah, it just seems to grow straight up.
So if
I don't have a lot of experience with them.
So if somebody has a tree and they find out it's growing like that, then you could do that much closer.
Yeah. And you can see that one's been in the ground a good 2 years, and it's same thing.
Yeah.
Kind of going straight up. So
my Catalina's growing up like that in my yard at least.
Lulas do that.
Yeah. Very nice, man. Thank you for
That's about it.
showing us this amazing place. All right, everybody, there it was. That place, wow, this is amazing. And the knowledge that Dale has is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad. Thank you for coming out and speaking to us.
Well, thank you.
Anything else you want to share in closing?
What is it? Save the guac?
Save the guac.
Save the guac. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Put your comments and questions below. We'll be back here when something else is in season, maybe mangoes. What's the next thing coming in season? Lychees?
Chiku.
Sapodilla. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to get out here, and they are about an hour west of Jupiter. The address, the link, and all the information is below on their website. And thank you again, Dale.
Thank you. So in 2004, we were in the eye wall of Francis and Jean. Jean dropped 36 inches of rain on us. And everything that's not up on this ridge here was dead in 48 hours. So I had about 60 trees out there that in 48 hours they were dead.
Wow.
So the only way I would ever consider going back into any avocado production would be after looking at the Phytophthora resistant rootstock that they have from California. I know the Tropical Research last Thursday, I think it was, had a special webinar and meeting about they have some 2 years worth of statistics on some they brought in from University at Riverside. So, but there's no way I would even think about.
So from the hurricane, more damage than the wind was the rain?
Was the rain. You got that much water on the ground, and you got a little bit of, it's covering the roots.
Because avocados don't like to sit in
they
water.
They don't like the wet feet, and that Phytophthora, if it's 100 feet out here and the roots go over to it and it grabs it and right to the tree it goes. And like I said, they were dead in 48 hours.
What about that beetle that's destroying the trees out?
I had one tree that it had all the symptoms, and I sent it to the lab down at Homestead, that track, and they said yes, it was a laurel wilt. So I cut the tree down, and then I poured diesel around. I poured a herbicide, not a herbicide, an insecticide to kill the beetle that might be down in the roots and stuff, right on the cambium layer around the tree. The tree decided to come back anyway, and I'll show it to you in a little bit. It had a great crop of tonnage on it this year.
Really?
So no,
and none of the other trees around it got affected?
They didn't, no.
Because I think they say you should cut the trees around it so it doesn't keep spreading.
Yeah, and if the roots cross, they can transfer it. And we see that here with lightning on the mangoes. If lightning hits one tree, you're going to lose probably 2 or 3 trees around it. So
wow.
The problem is the damage to the tree, and then the ambrosia beetle goes in and starts to work on it.
That's the same thing, a sunburn on a tree, that the beetle can get into that as well?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, sunburns. It can be bad, and particularly when you haven't trimmed in a while, and when you go in there and then hat rack them or whatever, when you bring 6-8 feet out of the top of them, you're going to get sunburn somewhere on that tree. And I mean, you can paint it if you got dooryard trees, but if you got 100
Sure.
trees, it's hard to go back. Or you're like me, you're 74 and you're sick half the time, you know, you
Now, if somebody has a small yard, you would recommend them painting it?
paint it, yeah. Just a latex paint. Take a white latex and mix it 50-50 with water. It doesn't have to be, you know, a lot.
Oh, mix it with water.
Pardon?
Mix it with water.
Yeah, you can put it in a pop-up sprayer. And, you know, spray
Does it need to be mixed with water, or don't make
well,
it?
you can paint it on there if you got the time, but
Yeah. Wow. Wow. All right. Now, with your trees, do you spray them at all with anything? The avocado trees?
Well, that's what I liked about avocados. We sprayed them about 3 times a year. Mangoes now, with all the, particularly with the Xanthomonas and mango black spot, we spray them 20 to 25 times a year. With the avocados, we sprayed them 3 times a year. You have to worry about the flower thrips early on in the blossom. And then we spray them a couple times later on with copper to cut down on the scab. But just 2 or 3 times it'll take control of the scab. So.
Okay.